Hey friends, what's up? It's Krim, and in today's video I want to talk to you about the state of Subtlety Rogue on the Shadowlands Beta. I've already done a video about the Outlaw Rogue. I'll put a link in the top right. And I'll also be doing one on Assassination Rogues. In this video I'll be going over new abilities that were changed, and how all of this compounds into the gameplay of the Subtlety Rogue. Let's start off with the addition of poisons to the Subtlety spec and also the Shiv ability. These are now baseline across all three rogue specs, and in the Subtlety spec serves more of a utility purpose than anything else. Depending on which non-lethal poison you currently have active, Shiv will either slow your target or dispel an enrage effect, so we'll probably see use as a utility spell in some niche cases. The Find Weakness talent that Subtlety Rogues currently have on live has been baked into many abilities, and in its place for talents is currently nothing. Unfortunately, we are still waiting for a talent to replace this, but it's really nice to see Find Weakness now as a baseline. Find Weakness now also has interactions with both Eviscerate and Shadow Vault. The interaction is simply an extra damage component on those abilities if you use them on a target that has the Find Weakness debuff on them. As I mentioned, a new spell, Shadow Vault, has been added, which is an AoE finisher, which I'm kinda excited about. Rupture has now also become baseline for the sub-spec, and the Nightblade ability has been removed. Another change you will notice is that Shadow Dance currently has no more charges unless you specifically spec into it with the Enveloping Shadows talent. On that same row of talents, however, Dark Shadows has also received a 5% buff to the damage you do during Shadow Dance. How then does this translate into gameplay? Well, it depends on the talent you pick. If you go for Dark Shadow, it is more centered around creating big burst windows with symbols of death and Shadow Dance at the same time. Now these sort of line up quite naturally throughout your rotation. You may have to wait a couple of seconds every here and then, but usually you'll be able to stack those together and pump out some huge damage in a small window. Picking Enveloping Shadows, on the other hand, smooths these burst windows out quite a bit and sort of allows you to just smash the buttons on cooldown and creates a more steady flow of damage. So these big cooldowns aside, what does sub gameplay really look like now? Well, for starters, the Slice and Dice ability has been added and is simply a maintenance buff that gives you extra attack speed that you want to try and have up at all times. As I mentioned before, Rupture has also been added as a bleed that you want to try and keep on as many targets as possible. The other new spell I mentioned is Shadow Vault, an AoE finisher, and I'm personally really excited about this ability. In big trash packs you can push Shuriken Storm into Shadow Vault, into Shuriken Storm, into Shadow Vault for huge AoE damage. As I also mentioned before, Shadow Vault has special interaction with Find Weakness. On any target where Find Weakness is up, Shadow Vault will deal an additional 50% of its damage as shadow damage. Currently on the Shadowlands Beta, however, Shadow Vault is not affected by the Subtlety Rogue Mastery, which increases the damage of your finishers. Once this actually interacts properly, I can see this being a super strong AoE finisher. One downside of this ability though is that the animation locks you in place for about a second, which can become quite a hindrance if you're on the move with the trash pack, or for example have to move out of bad things. It is still a super cool ability in my opinion though, and the target cap on it is 8 targets, the same as Shuriken Storm. The Secret Techniques talent in your bottom row is still capped at 6 targets. So how then does this translate into gameplay for the Subtlety Rogue? In my personal opinion, Subtlety Rogue is still one of the most fun specs to play, and having a choice of an AoE finisher now is super useful. With the 8 enemy target cap and the choice of using your combo points on AoE or single target finishers regardless of the situation, I think Subtlety Rogue can be a really big contender in early dungeons. Another bonus of the sub-rogue that I really like is that its Shadow Blade major cooldown doesn't lock you to one target and is useful both in AoE and single target. I may be a little biased, but I think that once all sub-rogue spell work the way they should, and after the addition of legendaries and conduits, sub-rogue can absolutely be a strong contender in raids and dungeons. And I'm really looking forward to seeing the end result that Blizzard will come up with. With that, I think you are now up to date on the current state of Sub-Rogue in the Shadowlands Beta. As I said before, I've also done one of these videos for Outlaw, and there will also be a video coming out on Assassination. If you want to make sure you don't miss that, make sure to hit subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below, leave a like, and come find me on my stream, twitch.tv/Krimwow. And I'll see you guys in the next video.